Thank you, Mrs. Simon. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to his life?" Worry is a part of many people's lives. However, God has expectations for how worry is managed. The Webster's 1828 dictionary defines worry as to tease, to trouble, to harass with importunity, or with care and anxiety. You should turn to God when worry and stress come into your life, because He does have a plan and purpose for you. He will help you through tough times, and He will guide you as you walk the path He has laid out before you. First, when you become worried and anxious about situations, look to God for help. God wants so much more for us than to walk through life full of fear. God did not create you to constantly worry about the problems in your life. 1 Peter 5:6-7 says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that at the proper time He may exalt you, casting all your anxieties on Him because He cares for you." Prayer is an essential tenet of the faith and will bring you closer to God if faithfully completed. He will always listen to you when you tell Him your problems and fears. In the book of Philippians, Paul talks about how important prayer and petition are. He says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." By petitioning God, you are respectfully asking for help in a certain area of your life. When you confess your problems and fears, you are acknowledging to God that you can't face your worries without His help, and that by putting full faith and trust in Him, He will give you peace and protection from your worries and fears. Second, remember, God has and will always have a plan and purpose for your life. He will help you with your anxiety when the enemy tries to use it to pull you away from Him. Psalm 57:2 says, "I cry out to God Most High, to God who fulfills His purpose for me." Trusting in God and putting your faith in Him are important because you cannot live out your life without His help. Charles Stanley once said, "When we don't trust God with our future, we have no one to trust. The result is fear." The only way to be truly free from fear and worry is to grow in your relationship with God and understand that He holds your future. Finally, Christians facing difficult situations today can take comfort in Jeremiah 29:11, knowing that it is not a promise to immediately rescue us from hardship or suffering, but rather a promise that God has a plan for our lives regardless of the current situation. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." If you don't trust Him in this way, your constant worrying could distract you from God and lead to a worldview more aligned with the world, one that is full of hardship and suffering. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus says, "But watch yourselves lest your hearts be weighed down with cares of this life." When worrying leads you to negative thoughts or actions, it can take over your life and keep you from putting God first. When we allow ourselves to become enveloped in anxiety, we become almost immune to any positive word, expression of faith, or insight from God. When worry and stress begin to take over, remember that God has individually designed every step for your life and walk with Him. In conclusion, Psalm 46:1 says, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." God is always there for you when you become overwhelmed by worry and stress. He has specially and uniquely designed a future and purpose for you. God also wants you to trust Him and let Him guide you, even when it seems like the road He has set you on leads to nowhere. I encourage you to seek God when you are overwhelmed by anxiety. Truly focus on the one who holds you in His hands. Do not be afraid of what He has in store for your future. His plans are perfect, and He will guide your steps if you let Him.